This is Rebecca Green for the Whiny Palooza podcast, and I am so excited today because I get to talk to Jessica Swanson. Jessica, thank you so much for being here with me today.
I'm so glad to be here.
I'm going to tell you a little bit about this wonderful lady. She is a life coach for mamas. She helps overwhelmed and unfulfilled moms transform their mindset, overcome their limiting beliefs, and find joy in motherhood by creating empowered thought pathways, incorporating simple positive habits in their days, and prioritizing their well-being so they can be the mama they dream of being. And that sounds so wonderful to me. I think you're going to help me too. So I have so many questions for you. And I want to start with what inspired you to become a life coach for moms?
So when I first became a mom, everything was good for about the month. And then everything kind of started to go downhill. I was, just like sad for no reason and got diagnosed with postpartum depression. And, I did the medication route for a little bit, but then I just realized that it's kind of just making me numb to everything. And I wasn't fully processing everything that I was going through. So I was like, at some point I got to change in order to fully be who I want to be as a mom and as a woman and be the person that my child deserves. So I started to do the personal development work and really try to better myself and figure out who I was as a person and what I wanted to be. And as I was going through that journey, I realized that there's not as much resources and support out there for moms as you may think. And motherhood is lonely and kind of isolating, especially in those first few months when you're still trying to figure out how to keep a little human alive. So I wanted to inspire and be that person for other moms that may be going through similar things as I am, and to kind of just be someone that they can count on and, use what I've learned and be able to not struggle for as long as I did and just be there to support them and be a resource for them.
Well, that's wonderful because you know as well as I do how needed that is.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious, how long do you feel like you suffered from it and how did you get yourself out of it?
So I suffered for about 6 or 7 months, and I just got to a point that I was like, my marriage was starting to suffer. I didn't reach out or, take care of the friendships that I had. And I just kind of lost myself. And the only thing that I was doing was, focusing on my child and kind of clung to him as a life support. And eventually it's like, I can't keep going like this, because if I do, I'm going to lose my marriage. I'm going to lose all my friends, and, my health was declining. And so slowly but surely, I just started to kind of do the things that I used to do before motherhood that would fill me up and make me feel good. And it was just little by little. So, I'd start to work out and get that, eat better, and then listen to uplifting podcasts and read books and kind of monitor what I was doing on like social media and like what I was taking in that way. Cause I feel like so much of what society portrays, is not how motherhood really is. And I feel like that is what also makes you, suffer from like the mom guilt and feeling insecure about, what you're doing as a mom. And so I kind of just, monitored my intake of what I was, consuming, because I think that's a great thing that, kind of keeps people or keeps moms suffering.
Well, and this is going to blow your mind at how very old I am, but when I had my son in 2007, there was no, like, I wasn't on any social media. So that was a whole different world. I actually wish I had it to keep me company at 3 a.m. in the morning,
Right.
but you mentioned mom guilt, and I really want to talk about mom guilt because you know
hmm
as well as I do that we all get sucked into so much mom guilt. So, can we help moms have less guilt? How can they take those steps?
Yeah. One thing that I have learned is that you experience mom guilt because you're a good mom. So if you weren't,
Mm,
worried about your kids and how good you were doing, and when you're responsible for their well-being and everything, it's going to be natural to feel, guilty when things don't go as perfect as you expected and all that. So I think that's like the first step, is just acknowledging that it's okay to feel it and that you're gonna feel it, and it's not something that you like overcome once and you're done. Like, it's gonna come up, you know forever because you're always going to be a mom now. So
Yeah.
I think that's the first thing is just acknowledging that it's a sign that you're a good mom, but also, realizing that you also deserve to take care of yourself and prioritize yourself. And when you do that, you actually show up as a better mom. So, just making sure that you're still taking care of yourself and that you deserve it, and to just count on the people that you have around you and ask for help when you need it is also a big thing because, you can't do it alone.
Well, and I think that we all fall into the trap of thinking that we can do it alone. And
Hmm.
I know when I had babies, I was not taking care of myself. So, so can you give a little picture of stuff that we can do in our days, like to fill in our busy days here and there to take care of ourselves?
Yes. That's another thing that I feel like society makes it seem like self-care and taking care of yourself is something that has to be luxurious and big and expensive, but really it's so simple to incorporate little things in your day that can fill your cup up. Like you don't have to go get your hair done or go get your nails done and do all this stuff that's not the only way to fill your cup up and take care of yourself. So what I started to do is, like I said, take 15 minutes and just go for a walk. Even if you put the baby in the stroller, take your kids with you, like just getting outside and, moving your body will, clear your mind and make you feel so much better. Or simply like when the children are napping, read a book, or do the little things that make you feel good. Spend the extra 5 minutes in the morning to put on a little makeup, or do your skincare routine. And yes, it is great to get out of the house sometimes and not have your kids, but you can also take care of yourself in the presence of your kids. And I think it's important that your kids do see you prioritizing yourself and taking care of yourself, so that way they know that that is normal to take care of yourself and prioritize your well-being too. And, you're setting a good example for your kids too.
100%. I want my kids to learn to take care of themselves, and they're not going to learn if I don't show them. But I did
Exactly.
think I was one of those mothers who thought it was selfish. Like I would see my friend working out all the time and I would literally think she's so selfish. And I feel bad saying that, but that's where I was, 16 years ago. I
Yeah.
thought she was selfish. But now I see how much better I am for them when I'm not exhausted, frazzled, tired. Like I see that self-care is actually giving to them.
Yes.
So I have changed my mindset, but it took me so long to do it.
And I think the first part of it is just getting started.
Mhm.
Like you don't realize, like I was the same way for like the first 6 months. I didn't take care of myself at all. But then once I slowly started to, just do little things here and there, I saw such a huge difference in the way that I felt, the way that, my son was feeding off of the energy that I had, and the way that, our relationship was so much better when, I wasn't short tempered or getting frustrated with him over the little things. I was so much more calm and able to handle the unexpected things that motherhood brings up. So, and it is a process too. I mean, some days I'm doing fantastic. And then other days it's like, oh, I need to do something for myself because I'm not showing up the way that I want to. So it's like just being, giving yourself grace and, knowing that it's a work in progress and you're never gonna, be perfect all the time.
No, and I love everything you just said because I think I still can fall into the trap. And then I'll start to see that I'm more tired than normal. I'm more cranky than normal. And I'm like, well, when's the last time you've done something for yourself?
Hmm.
So I think you're right. We just have to keep working on it.
Yeah, and I think it's important when you get to the moments where you're feeling stressed out and overwhelmed and stuff that you do take the moment to pause and be like, okay, what do I need right now? What do I need to feel supported and to be able to show up as the mom that I wanted to be?
Yeah, I love that. And I love what you said about makeup because I want to tell you that I don't wear makeup every day, but when I do take even 5 minutes to do my makeup, I feel so much better.
I know, me too. And then I'm like, why don't I just do this all the time?
I know, I know. Throw it on the sweats and running out the house. I'm like, if you took a little bit more time, you'd feel better.
Yeah, it's amazing how just the smallest little things can
Yes.
change your mood and your mindset for the day.
Yeah. And people tell me all the time they don't have time. And I'm like, we're not talking about going to get your nails done. We're talking about taking 5 minutes to put on makeup.
Yeah, that's actually one of my big pet peeves is when people say I don't have the time. It's like everyone has the same 24 hours in the
Yeah.
day. The real
Yes.
question is what are you prioritizing? What are you making time for?
I love that. It is so true. If we think it's important, we'll make time for it.
Exactly.
Yes. And you talk about connection parenting. Is that what it's called? Did I use the right
Yeah.
term? Can
Yep.
you tell us what that is? I'm so intrigued.
So that's just really focusing on being connected with your child, and instead of trying to use like fear and coercion to get them to do what you want or to behave in a way that you think they should behave, you just focus on, loving and being gentle and just making sure that you're connected to them, because when they feel that connection and stuff, they are way more willing to, do what you want and, be able to um behave and not feel stressed out and anxious and all those things. They're more cooperative with what you are trying to do.
Well, and it's interesting because I find that when I threaten consequences and use consequences, it doesn't necessarily change their behavior for my own kids. And
Hmm.
you're describing like me using my bond with them. And I feel like I get such better results in our
Yeah.
daily lives when I'm not running around yelling things like, I'm gonna take your phone away.
Yeah, those things, I mean, and that's what I think most people think, that those are working, but really they're working short term and not in the long run. Where when you
Yes.
just like take the time to slow down and acknowledge what your child's feeling, acknowledge what you're feeling, and kind of come to a middle ground where, you both can be happy. Your mindset stays positive, the child is more cooperative, and you're able to just feel good the whole time and not, end up regretting later. Because I feel like, obviously I'm not perfect all the time. And when I do snap at my child, then it's like, oh, afterwards when he's sleeping, it's like, oh man, I wish I wouldn't have said that. Or I
Hmm.
wish I wouldn't have, snapped like I did.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
just, I got to give myself grace. And, that's where apologies and, rekindling that connection and the bond that you have is so important.
I think grace is one of the most important words we learn as mothers, right? For us and for our kids and our
Yes.
husbands too.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
gotta work on that part. But
Yeah.
so you're so good at balancing your own goals with raising your child. Can you talk about balance, like us going after our own goals and focusing on our kids? How do we do that?
Yeah. Um, and I think it's important to realize that it's all about finding harmony. Like some days I'm full mom mode and then, only a little bit into goals. And then other times I'm able to really work at my, business and my goals and not so much at the motherhood part. And I just feel like it's also going to be different for everyone. So just so, not looking at like, well, she's doing this, this, and this. That's how it's supposed to look for me. It's like, it's going to look different for everyone. So I try to work on my business or my goals when my son is sleeping or with a babysitter or playing and stuff, so that way when I'm with my son I'm 100% present and really make sure I have quality time with him versus quantity time. And that has just helped my mindset as a mom so much that it's like I don't need to be with my son 24/7 in order to be considered a good mom. It's all
Yeah,
about how I am when I am with him. Am I playing and being present with him, or am I sitting there on my phone trying to work on my business, and not giving him the attention that he deserves? So I think that's just like the important is like separating the two and not trying to do both all the time, because that's when you're gonna, feel like you're not being fulfilled in either area, and you're just gonna feel like you're kind of failing at both all the time, where like when you're in mom mode, you're in mom mode and you're killing it, and when you're in your work mode shooting towards your goals, you're killing it, and then you can feel good at the end of the night.
that is such good advice. And I am so impressed with you how quickly you figured that out in life because it did not come that easy for me. That is impressive. Well, one of the things that we hear from moms the most is I'm too busy, I'm too overwhelmed. I hear it all the time. And you talk about mindset shifts. So, how can they shift their mindset during their day to feel less overwhelmed? Because I think that's the key word that I hear from moms is that they're overwhelmed.
Yes. I have two main like mantras, mindset shifts that I use consistently that has completely changed the game for me. So the first one is that life is happening for me and not to me. So everything that, is good is a result of what I am doing. I am creating the good in my life, the successes that I feel. It's because of what I am doing, but also the bad things that are happening, or the like inconvenient things. What is this trying to teach me? What positive thing can I see, or what is this, saving me from? And you're able to kind of just pause and, not get so overwhelmed and let the stress and the chaos of motherhood consume you, and you're able to see, okay, well, what do I need right now to feel supported, and what am I supposed to get in this moment that is going to, move me forward. And then the second thing is that I'm just a mom having a hard time, not that I'm a bad mom. Motherhood is so crazy and unexpected and challenging, but yet beautiful and, blissful all at the same time. And it's just a matter of, you know, I'm, not having the best time right now, but I'm still a good mom. And, I'm just going to give myself grace and keep moving forward with my day, and just accept that everything's not going to work out the way that you planned it to or the way that you wanted to. And just kind of letting expectations go and just going with the flow of motherhood, because you can't control everything. And, you know, who knows how your child's going to behave in that day. So it's just a matter of, you're a good mom, you're just having a hard time right now, and what can you do to kind of move past it and, accept what is happening, and not, try to force things.
Well, and I think you're talking about like our expectations as mothers are insane. I
Mhm.
can't believe what we expect from ourselves to be a good mom. Definitely too much. And I think that that goes with you talking about limiting beliefs, you know?
Yeah.
So, can you give us an example of a limiting belief that mothers have that works against them?
I think the number one thing is like, I should. Is that society makes you
Yes.
feel like, okay, I should be, doing all these activities with my kids. I should be, present with my children 24/7. I should be, X, Y, and Z. And I feel like that's like where really focusing on what you're taking in is so important. But I feel like that's where, moms have crazy expectations, because they think that they should be doing a bazillion things all at once, all the time. So it's just a matter of realizing what is actually important to you, and what do you want to prioritize in motherhood, because we can't do it all. And just because, so and so is doing that on with her children, but will that feel good to you? Like, is that something that you really want to do with your children? If not, then let it go. Don't take on more than what you can handle and what is not going to fill your cup up. Like, some people love to do crafts with their kids. Other people are like, that just is a big old mess and not something I want to do. So it's like, well, then don't do it. I think that's just where it's like, you got to be real with what is important to you as a mom, and what's going to feel good for your family.
I think you just hit the nail on the head because you brought tears to my eyes. I think that I say that most to my husband. I should be doing this. I should be doing that. And he's like, who says? And where are you getting this from?
Yeah. Yeah, I try to remove that word from my vocabulary, and it has helped so much.
I'm gonna work on that. Like today is Saturday, and my kids are like, "What are we doing today?" And my automatic thought was, I should have plans for them. Is that so funny? It's always the I should.
Yeah.
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 Well, I'll work on that next.
One step at a time.
One step at a time. So you talk about empowered thought pathway. Did I say that right?
Yes.
Can you tell us an example? Because that sounds amazing.
Yes. So I think a lot of times when you get caught up in like a negative mindset, or just like the poor me, or like playing victim mode, or like, why is my child acting like this today, or why is nothing going my way? That's when like your whole day goes downhill. And if you're like me, or like how I was in the past, I would hold on to that, and then the next day would go downhill, the next day would, and it's like, you got to kind of interrupt your negative thought pathways and just switch it. So it's like, if your kid's having the 10th tantrum for today, then it's like, okay, my kid is just having a hard time. He's not a bad kid. And when you tell yourself that, then you're able to take a pause and be able to take care of your child's needs and be able to be more compassionate and empathetic to them. And then instead of, allowing that to just, you end up snapping at your child or, derailing your whole day, you're able to just take a step back and kind of let it go, relax, and shift your mindset to be more positive. Like, okay, how can I serve my child? He needs me, and I'm going to, be there for him and support him in this hard time that he's going through, and not that he is like a hard, child or, a bad kid. So that's like one thing that I do. And just being able to, like I said before, it's not that you're a bad mom, you're just having a hard time or, a bad day. So that's like another thing that you can do to kind of not go down the mom guilt pathway and kind of switch it back to, you know what, I got this, we're going to get through it, and let's move on to the next moment, and keep going throughout our day and just be positive. And some days it's going to be really hard and you may not be able to interrupt your disempowering thought pathways, and that's okay. That's when you just got to be like, oh, tomorrow's a new day. Or that's when you're going to be like, I need to do something that's going to fill my cup up and get out of the house and be alone for a minute. And that's just where you got to ask yourself, what do I need in this moment? And just make sure that you're taking care of, yourself. And that will help with your mindset all in itself.
100%. So, so true. We are way too hard on ourselves. Every single
Mm-hmm.
every single woman listening to this is way too hard on herself. I will tell you
Yes.
that, right?
Yes.
It means we're good mothers,
Yes, exactly.
but we could be easier on ourselves. That still makes us a good mother.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we talked a little bit about some of the, habits we can incorporate in our day. Can you tell them some simple positive habits to just sprinkle into their days?
Yes. So I like to kind of when I wake up in the morning, set a positive intention for the day. So whether it's, how you want to show up as a mom or how you want to show up in, your business or how you just want to show up in life, just think about, okay, who do I want to be today? And what do I want to accomplish today? And how do I want to feel today? And this can be a matter of a few minutes. You can do it when you're laying in bed or when you're getting up brushing your teeth, just thinking about that and setting the intention that you want for the day, and that will help you all already instill a positive mindset and a positive outlook on the day. um the second thing I like to do is make sure you're drinking water, because when I'm dehydrated or, that's when I start to not feel my best. My energy is low. I start to get the headaches. So I've been really prioritizing drinking water, and it has been a game changer for, how I feel and my mental capacity for the day. And the third thing is I would just try to find at least, 10, 15 minutes, if not longer, to just be by yourself and kind of journal, how you were thinking today, how you were feeling today, and what you can do, what you want to do better at tomorrow. And just, taking that time to reflect on yourself and what you did for the day, and if it was good, bad, ugly, whatever it was, so that way you can have a better day the next day.
That is all such good advice. I think my favorite, I love all of them, but when I wake up, I literally, it's kind of like a ready, set, go, like just like take off. And I'm not pausing at all. I love you talking about setting an intention for the day. I don't do that. And I think that would be so helpful for me.
Yeah, it's been a game changer for me because I used to be the same. I'd pop out of bed, throw on my clothes, and get out the door. And
Yeah,
then I just felt like frazzled and like rushed or, unsteady the whole day. And just by kind of taking that time to set the intention, it gave me something to shoot for the day, and just made me feel so much more relaxed and ready to take on whatever was coming my way.
100%. I'm totally going to try that. I'm going to do it tomorrow. I guess I can do it when I get off. I guess I can do it today. I don't have to wait for tomorrow.
Yeah, you could do it whenever, and even if you need to take a moment, you're feeling like you're getting overwhelmed and stressed, then it's like, okay, I need to go put myself in timeout for a minute, clear my head, and come back.
I've really embraced the word reset. I think that's my one of my biggest
Yes.
motherhood words is that I think it's okay that we get frazzled and overwhelmed. I think that's a very normal feeling, but, like, I don't wanna get crazy with my kids. I don't wanna go in the I don't wanna have the temper tantrum with them. So, I have to be aware of myself needing to reset.
Yes, and that's one thing that I have just learned over the past, like, month is that all feelings are, acceptable and necessary, and instead of, like, feeling guilty for feeling, like, overwhelmed or stressed or even annoyed or frustrated with our children, is to just accept that that's what you're feeling, feel all the feels, and then let them go. Because
Yeah.
I used to just, get so caught up in how I was feeling and then just let it, uh boil up inside until I was exploding. So it's like when I just acknowledge the way that I'm feeling, it's acceptable to feel all the feels and then to just let them go. I'm able to just be able to move on from things so much faster than what I was in the past. And I feel like that's like so important in motherhood because so many things are changing all the time that, like you said, we're going to get overwhelmed. We're going to get stressed out. You're not going to be able to avoid that. So it's like you just got to accept it and be able to move past it.
Yeah, 100%. Yes. I tell my family, I'm like, "I'm not roses and sunshine all the time. I have all the feelings."
Yeah, exactly. And that's
So
okay.
so what do you think has been most helpful to you so far, in your motherhood journey?
I think just being willing to pave my own way and being able to take advice from people, but also know that if it doesn't feel good for me and my family, that it's okay that I don't do what
Yeah,
everyone is throwing at me because there's so much advice, so many opinions about motherhood that it's like if you tried to do what everyone said that you should be doing, you would
yeah.
absolutely go insane and
Uh-huh.
so I think that's what's been totally game changer and has helped me to just fully embrace motherhood and who I want to be as a mom and be able to be okay with going against the norms and doing what feels good for me and my family.
That is such good advice. We all needed to hear that. Um, my husband got me a shirt when we had little babies, and it said, "No unsolicited advice."
Exactly. I love it.
I have changed though. Now when people give me advice, instead of feeling annoyed that they're giving me unsolicited advice, now I'm like, okay, listen and see if it fits for your life because a lot of times it does and a lot of times it doesn't. So now I'm like, just be open-minded and listen to what they're saying.
Exactly. And I think it's also important to know that, like, you might think that you're going to do this, and it's okay if you try it out for a little bit and then you transition and actually say, you know what, actually, that's not working for me and my family.
Yeah.
I'm going to try something else because, motherhood goes through so many different stages, as your children are growing up. And it's like one thing might work for a little bit, but if it ends up not working long term, it's okay to change and try different things. That it's like you don't have to feel bad, like, okay, actually, that's not what I want to be doing.
Yeah. That's really true. That is so true. Just when we think we have something figured out, they change. Our kids change
Exactly.
all the time. Can you tell everyone what kind of support that you seek out that helps you?
So I have my own coach, which has been very helpful and, game changer. I feel like everyone needs someone that they can kind of rely on to see their stuff because when you're deep in it, you're not able to fully call yourself out on things and,
Yeah,
be able to have that person. I also seek out a counselor because, a lot of motherhood has brought up things from my childhood and it's all about, working on fixing the inners of you in order to, be a better version of yourself. So that has helped a lot. And also just relying on like my support system, so my family and my friends that I have nearby to, when I need a moment to step away to ask help for either, come over and watch my son or can you come help me pick up my house and get, whatever I'm needing in that moment to not feel bad that I need to ask for help. And
yeah.
so that has been game changer. And also if you do have like a significant other or whatever, scheduling in time for, you and your partner has been huge for, my mindset and how I'm feeling and also for our, marriage.
Well, that's the perfect segue into my next question because now tell me if I'm wrong, but from memory, you've been with your high school sweetheart for 14 years,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And that's incredible that you married your high school sweetheart. So tell us what you've learned on your 14-year journey with him about marriage and relationships.
I think being able to give each other grace and also to be able to say what we're needing, because I feel like I still struggle with this and it's something I'm still working on, but I feel like so often when, especially with us being together for so long, I kind of just expect him to know what I'm needing in that moment or
Yeah.
whatever. And then when he doesn't, show up as I was expecting him to, then I end up getting frustrated and then we're bickering over something. And he's just like, well, why didn't you say that's what you needed? And it's like, I don't know, because I just expected that you would, know that. So I think having communication and just being open to, your partner and being able to fully express what you're needing in that moment and um being willing to listen and help them through whatever they're going through and just being able to prioritize your marriage too, because your kids are going to grow up, they're going to leave the house, and eventually you're just going to have you and your partner. So it's important to not forget about their needs and what they're going through it at that time too.
That was such good advice. We definitely expect each other in relationships to read each other's mind. I think, we got in a little tiff yesterday because I just thought something was common sense. He hates, he
Yeah.
hates when I say that. If I could take common sense out of my vocabulary, we would have so many less fights. So I think I need to remove it because he is like, common sense doesn't exist. Like, I just don't know. I don't know sometimes that you expect something. And he's like, if you tell me, I'll give it to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, my husband's the same way. He's like, "Well, I didn't know that that's what needed," or like, "If you would just ask me to do that, I would do that." And it's like, well, sometimes, yeah, I also think that that's another struggle for like moms is that we have, or it feels like we have such more mental load than like our partner. And I think that sometimes it's important for our significant others to kind of give us a little bit more grace and compassion because it's like, I have so much going on in my mind with like, everything that I have going on. I don't think to ask him to do things. So
yeah,
I think that's another thing that was kind of something that like me and my husband are still working through and working on because you know every day is something different.
absolutely. Well, and if my memory is serving me correctly, my producer found you at a Beauty Boost Buffalo event. Am I right? Is that
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the sequence. So was that like an exercise thing, or do you remember what the event
Yes.
was?
Yeah, it was the fitness sampler.
So are you a part of that group?
Yeah.
Do you feel like that's been a good support system for you?
Absolutely. And I think that, that's one thing I wish I would have done a little bit sooner in motherhood is to find like either mom groups or women support groups that I could go to and either, even if it's online, but even more importantly, is in person, because just being able to get out of the house, talk to people, and to meet new people has been absolutely game changer for, my mindset. And it also made me, feel more like myself outside of motherhood.
Yeah, and we can, especially for moms who work at home like me, we can be home too much. So I love that stuff like that gets us out of the house.
Yes, absolutely.
So when you're life coaching, do you do it virtually or do you do it in person? How does that work?
I've been just doing everything virtually right now.
And are you
So
accepting new clients that might be
yes, I
listening?
am. Yeah.
So can you tell everyone how to find you if they want to find you?
Yes, they can find me on Instagram at Jessica Swanson _life.coach. That's pretty much where I connect with everyone. If they can shoot me a DM and we can connect there.
Awesome. Well, I asked you a ton of questions. Is there anything else that I didn't ask you that you would like to share?
I don't think so. I think we touched on everything.
I asked you a ton of questions, and I know I took you away from your family on a Saturday. So thank you so much for taking time to talk to me and sharing your expertise. I really appreciate it.
Yes, I'm so glad that I was able to do this and it was great talking with you.
You too. This is Rebecca Green, and I want to remind everyone to spend every day laughing, learning, and loving. Thank you for tuning in to the Whiny Palooza podcast. If you like what you heard,
Please be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. While you are there, leave a review. I love to hear your feedback. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.
This show has been produced by Market Domination, LLC. To discover how you can have your own show completely done for you and turn it into a real published book and become the authority in your marketplace, go to www.marketdominationllc.com/podcast offer.
49 faces looked to him in triumph. Over the last 12 months, they had each taken turns and promoted his business for a week at a time, driving over $987,342 in revenue. What if you had a network of 50 centers of influence who promoted your business every week for a year? Grab your copy of the #1 Amazon best-selling book, The Ultimate Guide to Growing Your Business with a Podcast, at 33% off the Amazon price by going to ultimatepodcastbook.com. Again, that website for 33% off the Amazon price is ultimatepodcastbook.com.